In the heart of the Venezuela Llanos, where the vast plains stretch out endlessly beneath the scorching sun, the legend of El Silbón is as much as part of the landscape as the towering palm trees and winding rivers. This region, known for its rich folklore and deep connection to the supernatural, is where the story of El Silbón has been passed down through generations, becoming an integral part of local culture. The Llanos are a place of contrasts. During the day, the heat is almost unbearable, the sun beating down on the parched earth. But at night, the temperature drops and a cool breeze sweeps across the plains. It is in this eerie stillness of the night that the legend of El Silbón truly comes to life. The tale begins with a young man, the spoiled son of a wealthy landowner. He was known throughout the village for his arrogance and cruelty, a stark contrast to the humble and hardworking people of the Llanos. His mother, a kind-hearted woman, doted on him, but his father, a stern man of principle, was deeply disappointed in his son's lack of respect and responsibility. One fateful day, the young man demanded that his father bring him the meat of a deer. His father, who had just returned from a long day of work, refused, insisting that his son was old enough to go hunting himself. Enraged by his father's defiance, the young man waited until his father fell asleep. He then crept into the bedroom, and in a fit of blind rage, he murdered his father. He cut out his father's liver and heart and forced his mother to cook them. When his mother discovered what she had unknowingly prepared, she cursed her son, condemning him to an eternity of suffering. The boy's grandfather, who had heard the commotion, grabbed the boy and took him out to the edge of the plains. There he whipped him mercilessly, rubbing hot peppers into his wounds before setting his rabid dog on him. The boy eventually died from his injuries, but his spirit was condemned to wander the earth forever, carrying a sack of bones said to be the remains of his father. As night falls over the Llanos, the locals gather around their hearths, telling stories to pass the time until sleep takes them. The legend of El Silbón is one of the most feared tales, especially by those who have heard his haunting whistle in the dead of night. The whistle is a distinctive sound. It is said that the closer the whistle sounds, the further away El Silbón actually is. And when the whistle seems distant, he is near. This strange phenomenon has baffled those who have encountered it, leaving them disoriented and filled with dread. One such encounter occurred on a moonless night, as a group of friends returned home from a late-night party in a nearby village. The road was long and desolate, with only the occasional rustle of the wind in the tall grass to break the silence. As they walked, one of them suddenly froze, his face draining of color. "Do you hear that?" he whispered, his voice trembling. The others stopped and strained their ears. At first there was nothing, just the usual sounds of the night. But then, faint and distant, they heard it. The whistle. It was soft at first, almost melodic, but as it continued, it grew more insistent. The group looked around, trying to determine the direction of the sound, but it seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere all at once. Panic set in as the whistle drew closer. They began to run, hearts pounding in their chests, but the whistle followed them, relentless. One of the men, a notorious womanizer who had often bragged about his conquests, tripped and fell. As the others turned to help him, they saw a tall, gaunt figure emerging from the darkness. The figure was impossibly thin, almost skeletal, with tattered clothes hanging off its emaciated frame. Over its shoulder it carried a large sack which rattled with the sounds of bones. The figure's face was hidden in the shadow, but they could feel its eyes boring into them, filled with malice and anger. The fallen man screamed as the figure reached out for him, its long, bony fingers grasping his arm. But before it could pull him into the darkness, one of the men grabbed a rosary from his pocket and thrust it towards the figure. The figure recoiled, letting out a guttural hiss before disappearing into the night, leaving the group shaken and terrified. In another village, a family was preparing to go to bed when they heard a strange noise outside their home. It was a rattling noise, like bones clacking together, coming from just beyond the front door. The father, a skeptical man who didn't believe in legends, grabbed a lantern and opened the door to investigate. As he stepped outside, the rattling grew louder, echoing in the night air. He shone the lantern around, but there was nothing there. Just the empty yard and the dark, open plains beyond. But the sound continued, now accompanied by a faint, distant yet unmistakable whistle. The man's heart raced as he realized what he was hearing. He quickly closed the door and bolted it shut, but the sounds persisted, growing louder and more frantic. His wife and children huddled together in fear, praying for the noises to stop. When the rattling finally ceased, the man dared to peek outside again. The night was still and silent, as if nothing had happened. But the next morning, the family discovered that their beloved dog, who had been sleeping outside, was dead. There were no signs of injury, but its eyes were wide with terror, its body stiff and cold. The legend of El Silbón is more than just a ghost story. It is a powerful reminder of the cultural values and moral lessons deeply ingrained in the communities of the Venezuelan and Colombian llanos. The story serves as a warning against the dangers of arrogance, disrespect, and vice, embodied in the figure of the relentless spirit doomed to wander the earth, eternally haunted by his own sins. Whether or not the encounters with El Silbón are real, the fear and reverence for the legend are very much alive. It is a tale that continues to be told and retold, its details growing richer and more terrifying with each passing generation. And as long as the llanos remains, so too will the haunting whistle of El Silbón, echoing across the plains, a chilling reminder of consequences of unchecked evil. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. To stay updated with future content, consider subscribing to the channel. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to leave me a comment below. Let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, take care and keep exploring.